I'm watching a dog today, so if you hear some weird noises or squeaks, that would be that dog right on cue. So I wanted to take a first look at this. I have not yet had a chance to read it, but I picked up Tsavo of Tsavo by Bridget Jeffries. This is from the Miskatonic Repository and Symphony Entertainment. This is a scenario set in Kenya. I believe it's Kenya, in the late 1800s. Yeah, 1898 Kenya. I bought this, in part, I want to read it. I find the Tsavo story interesting, but also I keep thinking about the possibility, one, of actually finally running Masks of Nyarlathotep. And then if I do, because I'm a glutton for punishment, how I might work on expanding it, adding in some either details or scenarios or complexities, because, again, I'm a glutton for punishment. And so the idea of possibly using flashback scenarios or prequel scenarios or tie-in scenarios, that is something that I'm looking into. So Sorrow of Tsavo was part of that. I haven't read it yet. I will soon, hopefully. The story, again, is a fascinating one, and you may have seen The Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas. That's based on the story somewhere in my piles of books, although apparently not out here. I really don't know where it is. Somewhere I have one of the books that I believe was written by somebody involved with it that supposedly tells the story of it. You know, you read stories from that time, and they're not always especially accurate. So here I've got, here's the inside page. Something that I really like is it has a scenario runtime in here. I would love to see more of that. Now, I know you can't say for sure how long a scenario is going to take, but you can give a gist of how long it's supposed to take. And here we are, single session, less than 4 hours. Fantastic. And then it has a minimum, you know, three minimum, 6 maximum for players. Okay, sure. Beginner friendly, great. Character sheets, backstories provided, excellent. Play style, story-driven sandbox, combat light. This is all great. It also has a content warning dealing with slavery, torture, body gore, and violence. So, you know, I think that's a great thing to have in the intro. I'd love to see that done more often. I would love to see this kind of information, because when I'm looking at scenarios that I want to run, she just really likes that squeaker. When I'm looking at scenarios that I want to run, this is the kind of information that I want to have. And instead of having to try my hand at Google Foo, which I'm terrible at, trying to search, I guess, Reddit pages. I don't know, I'm not on Reddit, but they always come up in the searches for how long scenarios take or for how long campaigns go on, for that sort of thing. When I'm looking for that information, I'd love to be able to just look in the front cover and see, this is an idea of how long it should take and how many players, etc., etc. That's great information. So, you know, we have some really nice, I love the use of some era photography. You know, it looks like a nice layout. I, again, don't know, I haven't really read in depth on this scenario. I saw that it existed, and that was, frankly, enough for me to be interested, especially because I knew of the area that it took place in, and my interest in possibly adding some expanded scenarios going back an earlier time to Mask of Nyarlathotep. There's also there's a Middle Ages set, I guess, like 700 or something, set story from the Beit El Azif magazine, which I may use as well. So here we have some really nice looking, and this is nice because these are full pre-gen characters. What I'm finding a little more often than I like, there's a bunch of pre-gen characters that I've been seeing which are really just, they're kind of half. It feels like there's a little bit more style over substance, so there's a lot of nice appearance and it has a lot of interesting, you know, information on it. But what it doesn't have is all of the information you really kind of need in a character sheet. especially if you're looking at doing a long-term game. I noticed that particularly with the ones from Cold Fire Within, the pre-gens didn't have a lot of the skills. It just had really what those characters were particularly good at. But then when you wanted to do something like, say, Climb, if Climb wasn't one of the ones on their pre-generated character sheet, you got to go and find one and find out what is the base, you know, that whole thing. It's nice having the whole thing, is what I'm saying. So it's nice, you know, cool. And then we have some acknowledgments in the back, a little bit about the author and the author's dogs, which is fantastic. Again, watching a dog right now. She's great. She's not a foster. We do foster when we can. She is a friend of ours' dog that we're just watching for the weekend. So, yeah, Sorrow in Tsavo. I can speak. I've learned how to do it now. Sorrow in Tsavo. Men killing livestock workers on the Kenya-Uganda Railway in this visceral 1898 scenario. I'll try to give this a read relatively soon and see if perhaps it is appropriate to use as some kind of tie-in to Masks of Nyarlathotep. We'll see. I really don't know if it is. Even if it isn't, I look forward to maybe mixing that into something else or just running it by itself. You know, we'll see. I'm going to try to do some more actually running some Call of Cthulhu scenarios coming up, especially as I'm trying to build up some of the muscle to be able to run this. And I have reasons why I keep coming back to this, which I'll talk about in a future video. Until next time, take care.